As the days grow longer and the Pacific waters begin to warm, spring ushers in one of the most exciting times for anglers along Baja California's rugged western coast. From the bustling port of Ensenada in the north to the remote shores of Magdalena Bay in the south, this 800-mile stretch of coastline offers a diverse array of fishing opportunities that come alive in the spring months. Let's embark on a journey down the Pacific side of the Baja Peninsula, exploring the prime fishing spots, target species, and techniques that make spring fishing here so special. Our journey begins in Ensenada, the northernmost major fishing port on the Baja Peninsula. While the waters here are still cool in early spring, with temperatures hovering around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the fishing action is already heating up. Yellowtail, a prized game fish in these waters, begin to show up in greater numbers as spring progresses. Anglers targeting these hard-fighting fish should focus their efforts around the Todos Santos Islands, just a few miles offshore. Heavy spinning gear or conventional setups spooled with 40 to 50 pound test line are ideal for yellowtail. Live bait such as mackerel or sardines are top producers, but metal jigs and surface iron can also be effective when the fish are feeding aggressively. For those looking for consistent action, bottom fishing around Punta Banda can be extremely productive. Species like red rock cod, salmon grouper, and various other rockfish species are abundant in these waters. A medium-heavy rod paired with a conventional reel loaded with 30 to 40 pound test line is perfect for this type of fishing. Dropper loop rigs baited with squid or cut mackerel are the go-to setup for targeting these tasty bottom dwellers. As we move into late spring, keep an eye out for the arrival of bonito and barracuda. These species typically show up when water temperatures climb above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, usually by May or June. Fast-moving lures like small crocodile spoons or Rapala X-Wraps can be deadly on these speedy predators. Heading south, we reach the fishing village of San Quintin, a spot that truly comes alive in spring. The waters here offer a mix of both northern and southern species, making it a diverse and exciting fishery. White sea bass, a highly prized game fish, often make a strong showing in San Quintin during the spring months. These elusive fish can grow to impressive sizes, with specimens over 50 pounds not uncommon. Dawn and dusk are prime times for targeting white sea bass. Live squid or large swim baits are top producers. A 30 to 50 pound class setup is recommended to handle these powerful fish. Yellowtail fishing also picks up in San Quintin as spring progresses. The offshore banks and islands in this area can hold large schools of these hard-fighting fish. Slow trolling live mackerel or casting surface irons to breaking fish can result in explosive strikes and memorable battles. For those looking to target multiple species, the rocky shorelines and kelp beds of San Quintin offer excellent fishing for calico bass. These aggressive predators can be caught on a variety of lures, with plastic swim baits and surface poppers being particularly effective. Light tackle in the 12 to 20 pound class can make for exciting fishing when targeting these scrappy bass. As we move into the central part of the Baja Peninsula, the coastline becomes more rugged and remote. Areas like Punta Abreojos and La Bocana offer world-class fishing for grouper and other bottom species. Heavy tackle and large baits are necessary when targeting the monster grouper that inhabit these waters. Fresh-caught bonito or mackerel cut into chunks make excellent bait for these powerful fish. As we reach the southern portion of Baja's Pacific coast, we arrive at Magdalena Bay, one of the most productive and diverse fisheries in all of Baja. Spring marks the beginning of the offshore season here, with striped marlin often making an appearance by late April or early May. Trolling-skirted ballyhoo or artificial lures like zookers or molecraft softheads is the preferred method for targeting marlin. A 30 to 50 pound class trolling setup is standard for this type of fishing. Keep an eye out for frigate birds or bait balls on the surface, as these are often indicators of marlin in the area. Closer to shore, Magdalena Bay offers excellent fishing for a variety of species. The mangrove-lined channels and sandy flats of the bay are home to snook, corvina, and halibut. Light tackle and soft plastic lures can be extremely effective for these species. Fishing the incoming tide around structure or drop-offs is often the most productive approach. As spring progresses and water temperatures rise, dorado, also known as mahi-mahi, begin to show up in greater numbers. These acrobatic and colorful fish can be found around floating kelp patties or other structure. Casting small live baits or artificial lures like hoochies or cedar plugs around these floating oases can result in fast and furious action. When fishing Baja's west coast in spring, it's crucial to keep a close eye on water temperatures as the season progresses. Many migratory species begin to show up when temperatures reach certain thresholds. For example, yellowtail become more active as temperatures climb above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, while dorado typically prefer waters above 70 degrees. Pay attention to moon phases and tidal movements as well. Many species are more active during certain moon phases, and strong tidal movements can concentrate bait and predatory fish. Generally, the days around the new and full moons offer the strongest tidal exchanges and can provide some of the best fishing. Live bait is often the key to success when fishing Baja's waters. Sardines, mackerel, and squid are all excellent choices. When live bait isn't available, fresh dead bait or high-quality artificial lures can also be effective. The remote nature of many fishing spots along Baja's coast means you need to be self-sufficient. Bring plenty of spare tackle, including hooks, weights, and leader material. It's also a good idea to have a variety of lures to match different fishing situations. Whenever possible, seek out local knowledge. Baja's fisheries can be affected by subtle changes in conditions that may not be apparent to visiting anglers. Hiring a local guide, even for just one day, can provide invaluable insights that will improve your fishing for the entire trip. Always practice responsible fishing to help preserve Baja's incredible marine resources for future generations. Follow all local regulations. Practice catch and release when appropriate, and be mindful of your impact on the environment. Understanding the seasonal patterns and migrations of different species is crucial for successful spring fishing along Baja's west coast. As winter gives way to spring, we see a transition in the dominant species and fishing techniques. In the early spring months of March and April, bottom fishing for species like rockfish, lingcod, and grouper remains productive along much of the coast. These fish are year-round residents, but tend to be more active as water temperatures begin to rise. Fishing with heavy jigs or live bait near rocky structure or over reefs can produce excellent catches. As we move into April and May, we start to see more pelagic species moving into the area. Yellowtail, one of the most sought-after game fish in Baja, begin to show up in greater numbers. These powerful fish can be found around islands, offshore banks, and areas of structure. Trolling with live mackerel or casting surface irons to breaking fish are effective techniques. Late spring, typically May and June, sees the arrival of more tropical species as water temperatures continue to rise. This is when we start to see more consistent action for species like Dorado, also known as mahi-mahi, and wahoo, especially in the more southern waters around Magdalena Bay. Trolling with skirted lures or fishing around floating kelp paddies can produce exciting results for these species. The diverse fishery along Baja's west coast requires anglers to be versatile in their techniques. Trolling is a highly effective method for covering water and locating active fish. Trolling with live bait like mackerel or mullet can be deadly for species like yellowtail and white sea bass. For offshore species like marlin or dorado, trolling with artificial lures or rigged ballyhoo is the preferred method. When fish are located, switching to casting techniques can often produce more hookups. Surface irons for yellowtail, poppers for roosterfish, or soft plastics for calico bass are all effective options. For species like grouper, rockfish, and lingcod, bottom fishing with live or cut bait is hard to beat. Using circle hooks can increase hookup ratios and make it easier to release fish unharmed. Vertical jigging with knife jigs or butterfly jigs can be highly effective for species like yellowtail, amberjack, and grouper. This technique allows you to cover the entire water column and can trigger strikes when other methods fail. For the fly anglers, spring can offer some exciting opportunities. Roosterfish cruising the beaches, Sierra mackerel in the surf, and even offshore species like Dorado can all be targeted on fly gear. As with any fishing destination, it's crucial to be aware of and follow all local regulations when fishing Baja's west coast. Regulations can vary depending on the specific location and targeted species. All anglers over the age of 16 are required to have a valid Mexican fishing license. These can be purchased online or from various tackle shops and marinas along the coast. Be aware of daily bag limits for different species. These limits are in place to ensure the sustainability of the fishery. Some species have minimum size limits. Always carry a measuring device and release any fish that don't meet the minimum size requirements. Certain species, like white sea bass, have special protections. Make sure you're familiar with any special regulations regarding these fish. There are several marine protected areas along Baja's coast where fishing is either restricted or prohibited. Be aware of these areas and respect the boundaries. Spring fishing along Baja California's west coast offers an incredible diversity of opportunities for anglers of all skill levels. From the cool waters of Ensenada to the tropical paradise of Magdalena Bay, each area has its own unique charm and fishing opportunities. As you plan your Baja fishing adventure, remember that flexibility and patience are key. Weather conditions, fish movements, and bite windows can all change quickly. Being prepared with a variety of techniques and a willingness to adapt can make the difference between a good trip and a great one. Whether you're casting to rooster fish from the beach, trolling for marlin in the blue water, or bottom fishing for tasty grouper, Baja's Pacific coast has something for every angler. The combination of world-class fishing, stunning scenery, and the laid-back Baja lifestyle creates an experience that keeps anglers coming back year after year. So as spring approaches and the fishing season kicks into high gear, start planning your trip to this angler's paradise. The fish are waiting, the scenery is breathtaking, and the memories you'll make will last a lifetime. Baja's West Coast in spring. It's a fishing adventure you won't soon forget.